สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So today we are going to make a beautiful, delicious, refreshing dessert called Thaptim Grob. So Thaptim means ruby and Grob means crunchy. So yes, we are going to make crunchy little ruby gems. It has been requested a few times, which really surprised me because I didn't know that this dessert was known outside of Thailand, but apparently people who have been to Thailand like it and then they request it. So the good thing is, it is so easy to make at home. You almost don't need a recipe. Once you understand kind of what it is and how to make it, you can just easily wing it at home. So it's a great one to have in your arsenal. Also, I should note that Thaptim is also a word for pomegranate. So theoretically, it could mean crunchy pomegranate. The dessert could be named after the fruit, but I highly doubt it. I think the dessert was named after the gem, and then the fruit was also named after the gem. So there you go, a little tidbit for you. All right, let's get started. So why are our rubies crunchy? Well, they're crunchy because we are using crunchy water chestnut. So water chestnut is the main ingredient, the key to this recipe. I am using canned, so this is the stuff that's canned. It's from Thailand, so Thai water chestnuts are a lot smaller. And I use canned because it's convenient and it's perfectly fine for this recipe. But if you want to do fresh, this is what fresh water chestnuts look like. They're not always easy to find. These are from China, so they're a lot bigger. But if you want to do fresh, I'll show you how to peel them. You want to slice off the top, just like that, and then slice off the bottom. And then with the remaining skin, I just use, you can just use a paring knife and peel it off, but I just use like a peeler, just like that, and just peel it off. Thing about buying freshwater chestnuts too is sometimes you can't tell whether the inside is any good, and I've opened a few and it's like, oh, they don't look good. They're all brown on the inside and they don't look good, but there's no way for you to tell on the outside, or at least I don't know how to tell from the outside. So there you go. I mean, these ones are a lot bigger than the cans, obviously. So for this, I would cut them into quarters, and then this, you'd probably cut them into eighths. Or maybe you want to make massive rubies, in which case you can just cut them to whatever size you want. So I've got all my chestnuts cut into little pieces. So now I'm just going to cover this with water. That's it. Just enough so that they are completely submerged. And now we're going to turn them into rubies using the elaborate ingredient that is food coloring. In my experience, takes several drops because I like the color to be quite intense, but you can do a light color if you want. If you want to go au naturel, you can do beet juice. So I just do this until I see that, like, okay, that's a pretty intense red color. That is gonna sit for about at least 15 minutes until they really pick up that color. So now we're gonna make the aromatic syrup that gives this dish its beautiful aroma, starting with water. And the aroma is going to come from none other than pandan leaves. So pandan leaves I have used many times before. It is basically the vanilla of Thai desserts. It gets infused into just about every Thai dessert out there. Well, not every, but most, okay? You can get it fresh or frozen. I typically get mine frozen, and if you do get fresh, they freeze really well. These lengths are about a third of what a full leaf would look like, and I've cut them and I freeze them. That's how I store them. I am going to tie these into a knot, and doing this helps bruise the leaves to help the aroma come out better. It'll also make it small enough that it will fit nicely in my pot. Now I'm going to bring this to a boil and simmer it about 10 minutes to allow the aroma to infuse. I will also add at this point that in Thailand, usually this syrup is made with pandan leaves and what's the word I'm looking for? Jasmine water. Yes, jasmine water, which is made from floating fresh jasmine flowers in some plain water overnight, and in the morning it'll become the most beautiful aromatic water ever, and then they use that to make the syrup. I don't have fresh jasmine flowers here, and I don't like to use the extracts. I don't find it the same thing. So I just do pandan leaves. However, if you're into floral tasting things, you can try adding just a smidge of orange blossom water or rose water, which is a Middle Eastern ingredient. You can find those in lots of ethnic stores out there actually. If you're going to use orange blossom water or rose water, be very light-handed with it. If you add too much, it will smell like your grandmother's perfume. Like when it's too much, it's way too much, right? So just a smidge, like a whole pot. Just start with literally a quarter teaspoon and see where you're at, and just add more from there, okay? But when done well, it can be a really beautiful addition to this dessert. Now this apartment smells amazing, like Thailand. It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off, and now I'm gonna add my sugar. Well, I didn't have to turn it off to add my sugar. I could have left it on, but it's hot, so I'm impatient to turn it off. And I'm just gonna let the sugar dissolve, but that needs to chill completely. This is a chilled dessert, so this is something you have to make in advance, so it has time to chill. If you're in a rush, pop this into an ice bath, like big bowl of water with ice to cool it down really quickly. So I'm gonna just let this chill in the back for now. We're gonna make the last component of this dessert. So there are 3 components to tap tim grob. There's the rubies, the syrup, and the coconut milk. And the coconut milk could not be simpler. This being dessert, it's very important that you use good quality coconut milk. And if you don't know how to choose good quality coconut milk, please check out my video on the ultimate guide to coconut milk, where I talk extensively about how to choose a coconut milk that'll be good for cooking. So another little pandan leaf for aroma. Also, we have a lot of sweet going on. We now need a little bit of salt to balance everything. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of water because I want to let that simmer to extract the flavor of the pandan leaves, and I don't want it to dry up. So I'm just adding water to give it a little extra volume to work with. And, give that, 5 minutes. So now I'm ready to make the rubies. Super simple. I'm just going to drain these. Ooh, and as you can see, the rubies have really taken on the color. There you go. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'll put these in the bowl. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss these in tapioca starch. So this is the key ingredient here. No, you can't use cornstarch instead. You can't use any other starch instead other than tapioca starch. I'm sorry, you have to look out for tapioca for this one. This is the key identifying ingredient right here. We're going to create like a chewy, clear, sort of like bubble tea-esque coating around the rubies, okay? Just sprinkle them and just give them a toss. Again, the measurement for the tapioca starch is just approximate. You want to coat until they no longer stick to each other. They've got a nice even coating of starch around them. I find for this amount of water chestnuts, quarter to half a cup is where you're going to end up. You can definitely make the coating thicker or thinner, up to your preference. Some people just like a super thin coating, in which case this is enough. But if you want a little bit more, just do another round of starch, which I'm gonna do. Just gonna go in with a little more tapioca, which, by the way, this is what the bag looks like. I've shown you this many times. I've used it so often, but here we go. This is what you're looking for, okay? You can also get the fancy Bob's Red Mill brand from Whole Foods and fancy places like that. They're going to be a lot more expensive. So if you look out for these at an Asian store, a lot cheaper. So that looks good. So I'm going to just shake off over the sink excess starch. Oops. So it doesn't gum up our water too much. Okay. Water on full boil. It needs to be on a full boil so that it can seal the starch right away. If the water is not hot enough, the starch would just kind of wash away, okay? All right, here we go. And you just want to sprinkle them on. And I'm going to do 2 batches just so you don't overwhelm the water and then cools down the water too much. Give them a quick stir. And then just let them go until they float. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get this water really, really cold and make me a cold water bowl to put these in when they are done. I should have prepped this before. If you've got ice, extra ice laying around, you can make an ice water bowl. That'll be even better. But we live in Canada and our tap water is freezing. After they float, I like to give them another minute to cook through. And they're gonna not look cooked when you fish them out. They'll always look a little cloudy, a little white, like it's not quite done yet. But miraculously, once you take them out, they will look cooked. See that? It doesn't look completely cooked, but slowly it turns a translucent red, and now we're gonna soak them in the cool water bowl. On some of these, you'll notice like just a tiny little dot of what looks like just uncooked starch. I could probably cook these a little bit more. That means, and I could throw those back in. Yeah. I'm gonna run these through again just because I feel like there are little dots on basically all of them, which is really hard to see. Like you can't really see those when they're still boiling. So I find that you kind of have to let them come out and cool first before you notice whether there's still a little dot on them. Okay, let's see how this looks. Much better. Again, like if you only see the dots in a few of them, don't worry about it. But if you saw the dots on all of them, like my last batch did, then maybe it's worth throwing them back in. Okay, let's do the second batch. So to test, you can just fish out a few, just kind of sit them in the cold water and just see what they look like. Okay, we still have a few white dots, so we're gonna put them back in and keep them going. Okay, let's see. Good enough. All right. See how they kind of magically transform from being kind of cloudy and misshapen in the pot? And when they hit the cold water, it just kind of settles, the tapioca starch turns clear, and you can see the red right through, and they're beautiful! Woohoo, look at that. Okay, let's talk storage. These are a little bit tricky to store. They don't last very long because the tapioca, if you put them in the fridge, it gets harder and harder and it loses that nice, bouncy, soft texture. The same way, you know, for those of you who are bubble tea drinkers, if you leave your bubble tea in your cold tea for too long, they kind of harden a little bit, right? So the same thing is happening here. So what I like to do is I make them, I drain them, and I keep them outside on the counter, and usually last me 24 hours. So I can make them the night before, serve it the next day, make them in the morning, serve it in the nighttime. It works fine. If that makes you nervous, you can put them in the fridge and they'll be still okay within 24 hours. It's not gonna be as nice and soft, but it'll be okay. Do not leave them in the water for any longer than necessary. Once they're cool, drain them out, because the longer they sit, the more that tapioca is gonna start to disintegrate into the water. Like 10-15 minutes, even 1 hour is okay, but like longer, it will kind of mush the outside a little bit. Some people keep them in the syrup, and because the syrup is nice and thick, it doesn't mush the exterior as quick. So you can do that too and make it easier. Just keep them in the syrup that you've made, and when you serve them, it just, you know, it's one less thing for you to do. But also, you can't keep them in the syrup forever either. Eventually, the coating will disintegrate into the liquid around them. So what I do is I just drain them, keep them on the counter, serve them within the day. Okay, we are ready. My syrup is chilled, my coconut milk is chilled, and to dress this dessert up a little bit, I also like to add some jackfruit. So this is ripe jackfruit that you can just get in a can. If you live in a tropical country and you can get fresh, even better, but mine just comes in a can like that, and that works well. And also some young coconut meat, which I also get in a can. It works just fine. Again, if you can do fresh, go for it. So these are gonna like stick together a little bit as they sit. That is okay. Once you put all the syrup and everything in them, they will come apart. So don't be discouraged by that. I think that's enough. I got a few slices of jackfruit, some coconut meat, and now the syrup. just enough so it's not completely submerged, but a little bit submerged. And then the coconut milk, and remember the coconut milk is not sweetened at all. The sweetness all comes from the syrup. You can just estimate, but as a ratio, probably 2 parts syrup, 1 part coconut milk roughly. But you can play with that. Stir that around. Oh, look how pretty that is. The most important thing, ice. This is a chilled dessert, ice, courtesy of Starbucks downstairs. Lots of ice. Give it a good toss. You want this very cold. Oh, yes. Yes. This is exactly what I am talking about. Look how pretty that is. All right. I'm going to take a bite with a little bit of everything. Oh, smells so good. That coconut and pandan combination, nothing like it. I love it. Oh, so refreshing. I really think that jackfruit makes a big difference, so I would highly encourage you adding the aroma of the jackfruit really takes it to another level. But if you don't have it, that's fine. But if you could get a hold of it, put it in. The texture of the rubies is something else. If you've never had this before, it'd be a very different eating experience. It's kind of soft and chewy on the outside, but then it's crunchy, completely crunchy, and a really aromatic broth on the outside. So refreshing, so easy. If you have a dinner party and you want an easy dessert that will impress people, that looks beautiful, this is it right here. You can prep all the syrups and everything the day before, days before you can do the syrup and the coconut milk. You can prep all your things. The only thing that you want to do day off or the day before is the rubies, and it's like super fast, right? So I hope you give this a try. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com, and when you make it, send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, make sure you do so you don't miss an episode like this, and click the bell icon as well. Otherwise, you will not be notified if I post a new video. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.